Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Your boy Earl's been arrested again, this time in LaPorte, I guess again. He was speaking to the LaPorte City Council, doing what the First Amendment suggests is his path to redress of grievances. He was petitioning his government for redress of grievances. He was speaking to the City Council about what he thought was a bad arrest, a bad practice by the police department. And the City Council have power over the police department. He's doing the right thing, sort of. I mean, it's not like the LaPorte City Hall can change Texas law, but, be that as it may. While he's addressing the City Hall, he does it calmly. He lays out his case. I don't think he does a particularly good job of it, but he lays out his case. And at the very end of it, he says something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing it now because I haven't listened to it for a minute. But he says something along the lines of, fuck the LaPorte Police Department. Okay. There's no uproar. He calmly goes back and sits down in his seat at the back. The city council immediately begins taking up the next order of business. Nobody sitting in any of the benches waiting for their turn or listening to the city council meeting. None of them were frustrated or talked or said anything. It was all very calm. There was a police officer actually who was standing back by where Earl was sitting. That police officer was just minding his own business. Earl goes and sits down. Another police officer, about a minute later, comes into camera shot and asks Earl to step outside. Very calmly. Okay. Earl steps outside, wherein the officer places him under arrest for disorderly conduct. Now, I know there are those of you who can't divorce yourself from the fact that it's Earl getting arrested, but I've been over this multiple times. Before Earl. Before it had anything to do with Earl. I've gone over disorderly conduct statutes. I've gone over the disorderly conduct statute in Texas. And one of the things, if a disorderly conduct statute is going to affect speech, it has to be limited to fighting words or true threats. But in Texas, it's fighting words. And those fighting words in Texas require that someone says something that tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace. As it is, and so shall it be. Did Earl say something that tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace? No, he did not. He was done speaking. Nobody fucking reacted. Not even the cop who was standing back by where Earl was sitting. Then, of course, you have that very protected political speech. You can see Cohen v. California, United States Supreme Court case, where a gentleman was wearing a jacket that said fuck the draft on it. That's protected. That's political speech. You can't just because someone is criticizing a government agency, i.e. the LaPorte Police Department, doesn't mean that you can criminalize it. Texas has tried. Houston v. Hill made it all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Supreme Court says, you know what? Police have to be able to deal with criticism. Even if that criticism is vulgar, even if it's, insistent and loud, police have to be able to, people get to criticize the police, and the police have to deal with it. They just have to deal with it. They're government officials. They're going to get criticized for what they do. Warranted or unwarranted, doesn't matter. You get to criticize the government. You get to criticize the police. You may remember Pink Camera Magic was arrested in Leon Valley for carrying a sign that said, fuck the Leon Valley Police Department. And as soon as Salvaggio found out that his officers, his stupid fucking officers, had arrested her for it, that citation went away. No charges were brought. Why? Because you can't criminalize saying fuck the police. You can't do it. You the you can't criminalize flipping police officers off. Can't do it. So obviously, I don't think Earl is any danger in this one. I don't think he's in any real danger in the other one, walking the wrong way on the street, because Earl has a constitutional right to a jury for a misdemeanor charge, or for any charge, even for infractions in Texas. And I don't think a jury will convict someone for stepping into the roadway to walk the length of one lot because the sidewalk was all torn up and gone on that section. I don't think anybody's going to convict that. I don't think most people are aware. I certainly wasn't aware. I don't know of anybody else who should have been aware that it is a fucking misdemeanor to walk the wrong way on a residential street in Texas. It's crazy. A problem might arise, though, in, as I mentioned before, a potential bail revocation hearing. There's a little bird dancing around, a tiny little bird dancing around outside my car right now. Beautiful. Anyway, bail revocation. Having one misdemeanor arrest for something horribly minor is probably not going to upset the apple cart. It may lead to a bail revocation hearing. I don't think it would, but, it depends on how big of a heart on the DA has for Earl. And, according to Earl, the DA just wants to dismiss the whole thing anyway. Or the DA that's trying the case, the assistant DA who's trying the case, doesn't think there's a case against Earl anyway and just wants to dismiss it. So obviously that assistant DA won't try to do a bail revocation. But two misdemeanors this quick together, that starts to look like a pattern. That starts to look like there's an issue. That makes it start to look like Earl's the issue. I know people want to draw in all sorts of irrelevant factors to the arrest for Earl for walking the wrong way on the street. Oh, it's 2 a.m. Irrelevant. Oh, he was shining a flashlight at the police. Irrelevant. The only relevant thing is the elements of the crime. That's it. That's all the court cares about. And nothing else that Earl was doing is a crime, or else he would have been arrested for it, blah, blah, blah. So that's all the court cares about. But 2 arrests, that's starting to look like a pattern. And Earl might have an issue with that. So I have a feeling that Earl and his defense attorney, the defense attorney on his felony case, are probably going to have a heart-to-heart. And I have a feeling that Earl might be quiet for a minute or two. And, honestly, if I was Earl's attorney, I would suggest that he shut his fucking pie hole, because that's always my advice to people. Shut your pie hole until your criminal trial's done. I mean, you've got nothing to gain by going out and acting a fool, except for catching more charges that might get you painted in a worse light and might get your bail revoked. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.